The new senators got sworn in today for the impeachment trial in the Senate for Donald Trump. And we got two opposing arguments. Let's roll the conservative one by Rand Paul.
To the senator from Kentucky.
Article 2, Section 4 of the Constitution says, the President, Vice President, and all civil officers of the United States shall be removed from office on impeachment for and conviction of treason, bribery, or other high crimes and misdemeanors. Article 1, Section 3, Clause 6 states, when the President of the United States is tried, the Chief Justice shall preside. As of noon last Wednesday, Donald Trump holds none of the positions listed in the Constitution. He is a private citizen. The presiding officer is not the Chief Justice, nor does he claim to be. His presence and the Chief Justice's absence demonstrate that this is not a trial of the President, but of a private citizen. Therefore, I make a point of order that this proceeding, which would try a private citizen and not a president, a vice president, or civil officer, violates the Constitution and is not in order.
So the argument that Rand Paul is making here is that because Donald J. Trump is no longer holding office as president, that the powers of impeachment granted to the Senate and the House no longer apply. He is absolved of any responsibility or impeachment because he is now a private citizen and no longer holding office. This is problematic for two reasons. Before we get into the reasons why it's problematic, let's take a look at the opinion by the Cato Institute, which is a libertarian think tank, on the constitutionality of impeaching a former president post them leaving office. Here are my conclusions. 1. For Article 2, President Trump was vulnerable to impeachment and conviction while in office. For Article 2, he is not subject to impeachment and conviction post-presidency. For Article 1, if he had been impeached and convicted while in office, ex-President Trump would still be at risk of disqualification. As we know, Trump was impeached but not convicted. In my view, he may not now be constitutionally convicted or disqualified. So, from my understanding of this reading of the Constitution, due to the implication that disqualification can only happen post-conviction, since Trump wasn't convicted while sitting as president, thus the disqualification can't happen post-presidency unless the conviction had happened before he left office. This interpretation is based on the reading that the purpose of impeachment is only removal and then disqualification as a result. Now, let's watch Chuck Schumer point this out.
The majority leader.
The theory that the impeachment of a former official is unconstitutional is flat out wrong by every frame of analysis: constitutional context, historical practice, precedent, and basic common sense. It's been completely debunked by constitutional scholars from all across the political spectrum. Now, the junior senator from Kentucky read one clause from the Constitution about the Senate's impeachment powers. He left out another from Article 3, Section 2, quote, "Judgment in cases of impeachment shall not extend further than to removal from office and disqualification to hold and enjoy any office of honor, trust, or profit under the United States," unquote. If the framers intended impeachment to merely be a vehicle to remove sitting officials from their office, they would not have included that additional provision.
So the letter from which Schumer is reading from is a letter signed by over 150 legal scholars that was obtained by Politico that, in their words, says the Constitution's impeachment power has two aspects. The first is removal from office, which occurs automatically upon the conviction of a current officer. The second is disqualification from holding future office, which occurs in those cases where the Senate deems disqualification appropriate in light of the conduct for which the impeached person was convicted. The impeachment power must be read as to give full effect to both aspects of the power. Meaning that the impeachment proceedings can happen with the sole purpose of seeking to disqualify a former president from holding office ever again, not as a result to being convicted. In contrast to Rand Paul and the Cato Institute's reading of the purpose of impeachment as being only to remove from office, These 150 legal scholars counter by expanding on the idea and the reading that disqualification from holding future office can be a motivating factor or a reason as to proceed with the impeachment process. In their words, more broadly, a singular concern of the framers in devising our constitutional system was the danger of a power-seeking populace of the type they referred to as a demagogue, rising to the highest office and overthrowing a Republican government. The framers further understood that this source of such a person's power does not expire if he or she is expelled from office, so long as such a person retains the loyalty of his or her supporters. He or she might return to power. The framers devised a disqualification power to guard against that possibility, and would surely disagree that a person who sought to overthrow our democracy could not be disqualified from holding a future office of the United States because the plot reached its crescendo too close to the end of his or her term. So, might I have to remind you that this happened?
We're going to walk down to the Capitol and we're going to cheer on our brave senators and congressmen and women. And we're probably not going to be cheering so much for some of them, because you'll never take back our country with weakness. You have to show strength, and you have to be strong.
I mean, how could we forget the ghoul himself?
So, let's have trial by combat.
Just look at this peaceful protester. Look at him. Look at how peaceful he is. Trespassing. Peaceful. Or this guy. Definitely came in there looking for broken chairs to fix with those zip ties. 100%. And don't forget about these peaceful protesters. So one side argues that impeachment is only for the purpose of removing from office. And if not removed from office during the presidency, disqualification can't happen. While the other side argues that disqualification is one of the purposes of impeachment, not following the conviction, per se. With added layer of the intent of the framers of the Constitution to prevent what you just saw. Knowing that the power doesn't dissipate once they leave office. Let me know what you think down below. I'm going to leave the Cato Institute statement as well as the letter I found on Politico from the 150 scholars. Leave me a like, sub, if you like my content. I'm also going to leave my Twitch down there as well as my Twitter if you want to keep up to when I'm going to post stuff. I hope to be doing a little bit more stuff like this. This is the first time I've used actually edited a video together. Yeah, I mean that's about it.